Humans there, currently sitting in what I believe is 5th place at the moment. So he is really, really itching to get back up there. We've had a change.
The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the pit completely. He's crazy
As I
stuff.
said, Freitas is on the grass on the infield for 4. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Last time on the Blondies MX5 World Tour.
There's the green flag and away they go. Meyer got a terrible start. And João Freitas is actually challenging Jer Janis around the outside, coming up 1. But now he backs out, so Jer has it very cleanly. Sergio Mora is coming up, and it looks like on the inside of him is Jan Koemans. Meyer is just really pressuring on Koemans there, currently sitting in what I believe is 5th place at the moment. So he is really, really itching to get back up there. We've had a change from the lead. It looks like João Freitas has gotten around either the inside or the outside through 6 on Jared Janis. So Jared moves 1 position down, and now he's under threat from Sergio Mora. And it looks like Koemans is right on top of Mora, and he's taking a look on the inside, coming into 1. But if he can hold on to that inside line, in fact he does, and now he cleanly goes past Mora. Switch back for Mora, but he's on the wrong side coming towards 2. And under braking, it looks like Koemans might have it. Oh, it's going to be close right up onto his bumper. This is giving Meyer a chance to get by Mora. He's on the inside of this turn, but he's going to be on the wrong side for this long left-hander, this 180-degree turn. And there's a bobble for Mora, which means that Meyer gets the better exit, and he is clean on by.
As we see Jan Koemans now in 2nd place, guys. Jan Koemans has passed Jer Janis.
And it looks like bad exit for Janis, as Meyer now just pulls away, and it looks like Mora is going to take advantage of the situation as well, Richard. This is for the lead as Koemans goes to the outside, coming towards 1, but now he's got the momentum coming towards 2. He's going to have the inside and cleanly outbrakes Freitas. Jan Koemans is heading in at the moment. Freitas follows him, and Meyer decides to try and take advantage of their pits and run a few fast laps and see if he can leapfrog them, Richard. And it looks like Freitas has gotten out ahead of Koemans. Meyer is in the pits.
Meyer, I can tell you, is in the pits right now. So we have a look, Stefan, and see where he comes out. As he starts to leave the pits now.
Yeah, he comes out behind the Freitas and Koemans.
Koemans not hanging around. Koemans goes to the outside. He'll have the inside for the next. He has to back it off because Freitas goes in. Oh, Freitas goes a bit wide there, and Koemans takes the lead, and Freitas gives him a tap at this point in time on the left rear side. Now that, Joe, is going to give him some damage without doubt.
And Meyer is taking advantage of it as well as he pushes himself up into 2nd place, so Freitas loses 2 spots.
This is it. We're on lap 17. There's only a few laps as we see a spin from Koemans. Koemans spins his car and he's lost it completely. And the leader, your new leader right now, is Evan Meyer from João Freitas in 2nd place. Koemans now has to recover from that. Jer Janis has taken over 3rd place. Richard Eklund will probably pass him as well. And he spins again, guys. He spins again. So,
when he makes
hit by Timo Tuliainen. Oh my goodness me, he's now got a car that is a complete wreck.
This is bad for Koemans. He'll even drop his average. He's going to really have to push hard in the remaining races to have a chance of championship now. Sergio Mora going on the inside, very fast corner, and Richard Eklund is getting run as well. Last time we saw this, Jer Janis defended really well on the outside, but it looks like Sergio Mora's got it.
Meyer now crosses the yard of bricks, the traditional start-finish line at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and takes the win in only his 2nd try in the Blondies MX5 World Tour. Excellent stuff from him. João Freitas takes 2nd with ease, and Sergio Mora works his way back up into the podium spot in 3rd. Jared Janis ran a very good race to come home 4th, and Richard Eklund was shortly behind in 5th. Welcome to Silverstone Circuit, home of Round 11 in the Blondies MX5 World Tour, and you're watching it live on the global SimRacing channel. I'm Joe Peak. With me in the booth today is my right-hand man, Richard Losberg. Welcome, Richard.
As always, Joe, glad to be here.
Also with us is the always entertaining Bill Zahn. Glad to have you back, Bill.
Thank you, Joe.
And as always, behind the scenes is Giancarlo Lenzi, our director, always on the button to catch the best action on the track. Now, this track is not often used, Richard, and it seems it's a bit of a short one.
Yes, I thought at one point, Joe, that I'd never actually been on this track before, but just having a look at the layout, I see that it is used very rarely, but I have actually raced on this track. So what we've got here is a 1.6 miles of track, which is quite short. There are only 6 turns, and the big difference is the very quick and sharp right-hander just before Cops, and you know, the funny little turns at 2 and 3 around the Maggots area. But other than that, it's as somebody mentioned, just a triangle, 3 straights and turns to kind of accentuate each corner of the triangle, Joe.
So simple, but possibly deceivingly so, because it's going to provide some challenges today, that's for sure. Well, let's check out what the championship is looking like, because we're getting down to the end of this, Bill. What's the situation in points?
Joe, we got a real dogfight. Richard Eklund's in the lead, but right behind him is Amjad Yaman, only 8 points back. Amjad has 1 victory, but his only other best finish is a 3rd place finish, so he's just steady, like 4th, 5th, 6th, all the way through. What's interesting today is we have every driver in the top 13 in points here except for Uros Jelenko, who is injured his leg and will be back next season.
And our thoughts go out to Uros. What I understand is that he's actually watching right now. So hello to Jelenko, and hope you enjoy the broadcast, and we wish you the best of recoveries. We'd love to see you back on track soon. The time is getting down towards the end here. We've only got a few seconds left on warm-up, and then they're going to get to the grid. And it should be an interesting one for sure. Now, one of the things, Richard, that we've seen this season is even though the only multi-race winner we've got is Koumans, he's down in 4th in the points at the moment. He just hasn't had a good time so far this season.
That is absolutely true, Joe. And I was thinking about it and trying to figure out why this is, because it's not that he's not been fast. He has certainly been that. He's led many a race and won most of the races that he's been in. As you've said, he's the only multi-winner. But he's had a few problems lately, and I'm just wondering whether that is attributed to some extent, as they're starting to grid up now, to the fact that the car is quite different from what it was 3 or 4 weeks ago, Joe.
Yes, and let's run through the top 6 real quick. We have Thomas Szabo on the pole today for the quick 6 gimmick. Evan Maillard starting 2nd. Timo Tuliainen is in 3rd. Then we've got George Yanis in 4th. Jan Koumans starting 5th, and Sergio Mora in 6th. And it looks like the lights are getting ready, so we're getting ready to take the start now. Engines are revving up as they get ready to take the green. There's the flag, and they're off at Silverstone Circuit on the national version. It looks like Szabo got a pretty clean start as they take off. Maillard slots in line behind him with Timo Tuliainen, and it looks like Koumans is the one with the best start as he starts to look up the inside of George Yanis, Richard.
Absolutely, and he makes a clean pass on Jer as they go into the first set of turns. And so what we've got is Tuliainen just in front of him, Maillard already threatening the top driver in Szabo there. He makes a move as they go into that kink I was talking about, and it looks like he's made the pass already and will, before the end of lap 1, Joe, be in 1st place.
And this could work to Maillard's advantage. We've seen before that he has just got incredible speed, and he could run away in almost a Vettel-esque manner, but it's not over yet. Szabo is trying to come up back the inside into Brooklands, and he's going to have the outside on Luffield, though, so this might not be the place he wants to be, even though he's got a little bit of a nose, tries to squeeze Maillard, but it's not going to happen. It looks like Maillard's going to get it coming around for the first lap by.
Yes, and whilst that was happening, just behind them, Tulianen and Koolmans were having an equally tough fight with each other, going side by side through that last set of turns. But now they've gone back to single file, Joe, and it's Maillard leading, Zalbo, who's really come on in leaps and bounds. As we see, wow, we see Koolmans and Zalbo going really, really wide. No respect for the off-track sections here. But they still all in there. It's all over the place. We still have Maillard in front, Zabo threatening, Tulianen coming in, the only one who actually stayed on track there, and Koolman's just behind him. So these four are fighting hard, and just behind them, a tiny, tiny way back, is Jay Yanis, Joe.
And it looks like Zabo is going to try the same thing over again, once again for the lead. He's got the inside for Brooklands as Koolmans has to take evasive action on Timo. But it looks like it's going to be the repeat as Koolmans goes off into the sand trap and gets it back on cleanly. But Zabo was not able to take the place once again. That's the second time I've seen Koolmans have to take avoiding action on Timo. I'm guessing that Koolmans just has a much later breaking point than Tulianen, because he had to do the same thing on one, which is why he went wide through Copse there, Richard.
Well, that's right. And I think part of it can be attributed to the fact that it's tough racing at the top here, and as you see, once again, these guys go really, really wide in turn one there, and Tulianen and Zabo and Maillard, they are putting it to Koolmans, and he's still settling in. As we see, wow, that was Jay Yanis actually tapping Koolmans in the rear there with Eklund. My goodness, Joe, behind these four, there's a fierce battle going on, 3 wide at the moment with Mura and Jay Yanis and Richard Eklund, Joe.
Yeah, looking at that battle for 7th, 8th, and 9th, it looks like Hallinan they were 3 wide for a moment. Hallinan's diving up the inside of both Mora and Yanis, but again, he's going to be on the wrong side into this next corner, so Yanis is going to hold on to it, and he slots in right between himself and Mora as Eklund moves himself up into the pack. Our championship leader is trying to salvage a good finish here after not a terribly stellar qualifying, it seems. So things are really getting heated up back there. Now, Bill, I wanted to ask you a bit about the boundaries of the track here. There's the incidents obviously don't count much against these guys since this is a private session in iRacing. What is the ruling on people repeatedly abusing the track limits around here?
Because this is so hard to police, to monitor every corner, the Blondies rule is you can take whatever the tracks gives you. And back behind all the nonsense that's going on up front is number 2 in points, Amjad Yaman, sitting back, being cool, biding his time. Look for him to be top 5 before the race is done.
Although his real mark has definitely got to be Richard Eklund. I'm looking at Jan Koolmans, though, right now, who's made a move on Timo Tulianen. He might be able to pull it off into Brooklands as he now cleanly outbreaks Timo now that he's gotten it done. So all he has to do is stay ahead of him. He should be able to start moving back up. He's trying to hunt down Zabo, who is in second. So right now is currently Evan Maillard in the lead. Thomas Zabo holding on to second. Koolmans moved up into third with Tulianen in fourth, and fifth is Richard Eklund. But what I was saying, Bill, Yaman, even though he's playing it cool just like he always has been, with it getting late in the season, I would think that at this point he's got to try and focus on finishing ahead of Eklund. That I mean, that's the only thing that's going to move him ahead in points.
Yeah, but I think Amjad knows Richard. I think he's going to count on Richard making a mistake. All it takes is one mistake, one 20th place finish at this stage, and you're pretty much out of it. So I think he can live with 5, 5, 5, 5, 5 all the way through.
And Eklund is actually under threat from Janis right now, coming down that back stretch. Janis is going to be on the wrong side coming into Brooklands. But we've seen, Richard, that it seems to be that outside is actually the place that you want to be.
That's right. Joe, I am actually looking from 10th place position at the moment, which is Freitas. They're all in a line here, mate. There is absolutely no quarter asked for here and no quarter given from 1st to 10th. And now we see Rato in 11th place joining as well. So we have the first 11 cars on this track nose to tail practically as they go down the front straightaway. So it's going to be one heck of a battle to win this one, Joe.
Yeah, currently I'm watching Big Mac in 9th, who's under threat from Freitas, actually. And Big Mac actually has to go off the course but it looks like he's going to retain the position there. So yeah, these guys are really going at it hard. And what I find interesting is Rato is back there as well. So I'm wondering if maybe Freitas and Rato don't like this track or didn't get enough practice, because normally we see them a little bit farther up, Richard.
Absolutely. And well, Rato's been out of racing for a little while, certainly in this series, but Freitas does surprise me that he is struggling in 10th place here, whereas he normally is up fighting for first or second place. So it remains to be seen what he can do, but I just wanted to make mention of the fact, yes, he's definitely struggling as they go around into the last turn before the start finish. You could see that he was out of shape there. But 11 cars struggling for position, and any one of that 11 cars, I tell you, can win right now. But hopping back to the front, let's see what's happening over there, Joe.
We've got some news on that, actually. Koemans is down to 6th. He had a huge bobble into Copse at one point, and he pretty much just lost position after position because his exit was so bad. Right now he was holding off Tuomas Hallinen, but he's starting to pull away. He continues to go very wide at that exit. Bill, is there any sort of penalty for continually going off track like that and use it to get a better exit, or is that fair game?
If less iRacing gives you a slowdown penalty, you go for it. But every time you go out there, you go an inch farther, you go an inch farther. Pretty soon, they slap you with a black flag.
I actually did not know that, so good to know. So I guess there is a way to limit it automatically, at least. Meanwhile, back up front, Maillard still has that lead, but Thomas Szabo has Tuliainen right behind him, Richard, and he's putting the pressure on at the moment.
Yep, Tuliainen is, we've seen not too much of Tuliainen in the races recently, but it looks like he's got it together for this one, at least at the moment. But, you know, Joe, one of the guys that is surprising me right now is Thomas Szabo. Now, I've been racing a lot against Thomas Szabo in the Grand Touring Cup official races. This guy is fast, and he's getting faster by the looks of it on this new tire model. So, if this were earlier on in the season, I would be putting a small each-way bet on this guy to be in the top 5 of this championship. And right now, he's sitting in 2nd place and consolidating that 2nd place. Richard Eklund is moving up as well. He's behind Tuliainen just now as they go into that large left-hand curve, which is the last set of corners just before the start-finish. Very tricky, these corners, especially the very last corner, because it just carries on and on. As we see Richard Eklund get a bit loose there, and he'll be under threat with the closeness of this racing. Jay Yanis straight onto the back of him, but can't make a move on him at this point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stay as they were the previous lap, but still a long way to go, Joe.
Just to pipe in on Szabo, I think he's so aggressive. I think he's in a much more comfortable position running second with the driver, only one driver ahead of him, than trying to fight his way through the field.
Yeah, and actually this will work out very well for Maillard, I have to say, because he doesn't have a huge gap, but he's starting to put a little bit of distance. And I think the more that Timo starts to pressurize Szabo, we're going to see that increase, because if those guys start fighting, I mean, that could essentially be the race for Maillard, barring any pit stop accidents.
You know, Joe, I'm looking at it seems to me the drivers are deliberately taking those really wide exits that iRacing is allowing them on this track. Koemans went so wide, he nearly ran completely off the track. Another driver I want to make mention of at this point in time, it's a good race to mention all these newer drivers. Tuomas Hallinen. Now, Hallinen has really, really impressed me with the way he's improved in each race. If you remember, where was it? At Sebring, he was actually very close and, in fact, leading at one point, I believe. So he's improving all the time, and I think that a lot of these drivers, come the next season, these are going to be very forceful drivers, and they're going to be hot contenders for the championship, if I believe, Joe.
And speaking of contenders for the championship, Eklund is right now on the back of Tuliainen, who's lost a bit of ground on Szabo. And in fact, Maillard has lost some ground too, so he must have made a mistake somewhere. So the top 5 actually are all pretty much nose to tail. Eklund was all the way up on the bumper of Timo on the front straightaway. He's not quite that close now, but he's really threatening. He's in fourth, and he's looking to close up as they all squeeze together under braking, Richard.
Yep, and Janus is right behind Eklund. Eklund just bobbles a little bit there coming into the start-finish straight area. Janus right behind them. One guy we should mention here, of course, Joe, is Evan Maillard. Joined the championship only 3 weeks ago after much cajoling and encouragement from Uros Jelenko and myself. And he's proven that he's shaken this championship up and made it a wide open. I mean, the first race he struggled and disappeared just before the end of, before the start, or virtually on the start of the first lap. And then in the second race, he won, and now he's leading this third race, Joe.
Well, we can't also count out our sixth-place driver who's starting to close up on this group, and that is Jan Koemans trying to recover from his bobble earlier on. We're only on lap 11. This is a 40-lap race, so we're not even, we're just over a quarter of the way through this thing at this point. And these guys are all still right together. I mean, gosh, there is only 2 seconds between the top 6, so they're incredibly close at the moment. And Jan Koemans actually had the fastest lap last time by with a 66.772. But at the moment, things are kind of staying in position, although guys have been jockeying around just a bit. There's no position changes in the recent laps. Eklund had a very good run on Timo at one point coming towards Maggots, and even had the inside, but he elected not to make the pass, which strikes me as interesting, Bill.
Yeah, another thing that we have to watch out for, I was thinking about the last couple races after the new tire model, there's been some questions about fuel mileage. They're not sure what actually happens, whether it's the toe of the car or the grip of the tires, but drivers have been taking extra fuel because they've been having trouble estimating what's going on. This could be very interesting when it's time for them to start pit stops.
And it's getting even more interesting right now as Szabo takes a look on the inside of Maillard for the lead, but he's not there. And Timo gets a really good run on Szabo coming through Brooklands, but he's lost out as he goes into the sand trap coming out of there. So he slides back into the clutches of Richard Eklund, who's on the outside and has nothing to do. But it looks like he might have a good exit, Richard, and could have a pass coming through Woodcote.
Yes, and he is trying it on as we speak. That's Eklund on Tulianen, and I think he's going to get the job done here. He does so as they go into turn 1, and Tulianen can't come back at him. These guys go so wide in that exit on turn 1, but they're allowed to do it. I'm uncomfortable with the whole idea, but obviously they've discovered that it's something they can do, and why not if you're allowed to do it. Tulianen now starting to creep back up onto the back of Richard Eklund, who's running a really good race here, very controlled at this point in time, Joe. First, second, and third, pretty much nothing in it at this stage, with Tulianen right there as well, as he gives him a little love tap. And was that Eklund off track? Almost off track, but loses quite a few positions, and now he boots the back of Tulianen. Maybe that was deliberate as a retaliation, Joe. It's all happening right then.
He actually apologized over the radio, so it doesn't seem like it looked deliberate. I thought the same thing as you, but he says over the radio that it was not on purpose. He was up into third for a little bit there, but now he's lost out as he's down into fifth, and Timo's all the way into seventh, so that hurt both of those guys quite a bit. I was about to say that despite all we rag on him for his mistakes, that he's making a champion's drive, but I think he must have heard my thoughts or something, because the commentators curse without me even saying anything. So Eklund has work to do to get back up. Meanwhile, Maillard continues to hold on to the lead quite cleanly. Thomas Szabo, though, has... Who is that behind him, actually? Is that a lapped car? Yes, that's Jake Tucker, a lap down. I'm sorry. I thought he had someone right behind him. But Koemans isn't too far back from him as well. So Koemans has worked himself all the way back up into third. So Koemans is not out of it yet, Bill.
Yeah, no, we don't count the Belgium ace out. We've learned our lesson there. Timo's car is really crushed in the back, but I must say it's a nice center hit. I don't think it's going to slow him down.
Yeah, I would think that maybe Richard Eklund might have a little bit of worse damage on that from the front and could possibly compromise his straightaway speed. I mean, these aren't terribly long straightaways, but long enough that he could find himself struggling to get top end. I would think as they go wide yet again. Still watching Jan Koemans and Szabo. And Koemans is slowly closing up on Szabo at the moment, so he's looking to fancy to up himself just a little bit more. Like we said, he is currently fourth in the championship, Richard, and he still wants to try and get himself back into this. I mean, looking at the point situation, he's 63 back, but that's not insurmountable with at least, I believe, is it 5 more races left?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was talking to Bill before. There's 100. First place is 100 points, with third place, sorry, about 83 points. So there's a lot of points to be had in 5 races. So 500 more points up for grabs for first places. So plenty of time for him to get back up the front. You got to realize with Evan Maillard leading and winning races now. Evan is only in his third race, so he's not featuring in this championship at all at this point. So it actually works to the advantage of Koemans for Evan to be winning races at this point.
Taking points off everybody else for him, so that's smart thinking on that. I actually hadn't considered that before, so we'll have to see how that starts to play out. In the meantime, I'm still watching that battle between Koemans and Szabo. He's kind of holding on to the back of him, but he doesn't seem to be making inroads. I do see that Janis is still holding on to the back of him as well. I have to give credit to Janis recently, Bill, because even though he's been fast, he's been really up with some of the fastest guys in the MX5 and the entire iRacing series, and I feel like he's upped his game this season.
He has upped his game. In fact, I think he's actually faster than Amjad Yaman is, even though he's farther down in points, but they both kind of have the same strategy. Eklund's in the pits, and he was there for a while, so I think there might have been a little repair.
So obviously feels the need to get some of that done with. I see a few other people have stopped in. Peter Yurza has been in the pits. Joseph Arrow has been in the pits. Jim Bolin, Jeremy Naylor, and Duljan Boldrin have all been in the pits. Some of those might have been for damage. We're getting word that Eklund's front is still rather crunched in, so he's still going to possibly suffer a bit. I'm actually still watching this Szabo and Koemans battle, and Koemans is starting to close up a little bit in some of the braking zones, but doesn't seem to be getting quite a good enough exit, Richard, to make any inroads.
That's right. You know, I am really, really impressed with Thomas Szabo. I said it a little bit earlier on. I'm saying it again. This gentleman has really proved that he can mix it, particularly this season with the top guys. I mean, Evan Maillard is one of the masters, as is Koemans, of MX5 racing. And we have Thomas Szabo right up with these guys. Jay Yanis, you've spoken a little bit about. Very impressed with Jay Yanis as well. He's one of the fast guys around without a shadow of a doubt. Tuliainen, by the way, still out there, struggling with this car that looks horrible from the back, but in fact is probably not as fast as the other guys, a little bit down on speed, but he's still out there, whereas Richard Eklund, they did have to pit, as yourself and Bill was saying. So looks to me like the top 4 now have broken away from the pack, and we'll have to see what happens when the pit stops kick in to see if the others can close back up again, Joe.
Well, we've got another championship contender in the pits. That's Amjad Yaman. He pitted from 9th place while he was battling with Trevor Mack. And I wonder if that's a strategic call, since he could have been losing time. Now, we got to keep an eye on this here, because I know that Richard Eklund had a long pit, which we mentioned. Where exactly is he? He is coming around right now, so it looks like he might actually lose a position, which is championship implications in this, Richard, as Amjad now comes out ahead of the first place championship winner right now.
That's right, and I'm just watching Jay Yanis go into the pits, and ahead of him, Jan Koemans in the pits. So this is crucial for both these drivers. Let's see what happens with them. I'll keep an eye on this while you're calling the action, Joe.
Yeah, I'm still watching Amjad, and he's actually behind Sam McAleer at the moment, coming down that back straightaway. He's going to look on the inside into Brooklyn's. Under braking, he goes clean on by. So apparently McAleer has not pitted yet, or he just has much better pace. But smooth move from him there, and Amjad continues on. I'm looking, and it looks like there is actually a fair distance between Yaman and Eklund. So Eklund has really got to put the afterburners on to try and run him down and start making up those positions. And Bill, I got to give credit to you. You know, you kept saying that those mistakes are there when it comes to Eklund, and yet again, it's put him on the back foot, and you called it.
Yeah, I don't want to say I told you so. I'll say I'll tell you so for Amjad Yaman, because that's what he was counting on. But I think there are more fish to fry than just Eklund. Since Koemans is now up there, I think if you focus on the guy in front of you, you may get snuck by from the guys tracing you.
Yeah, you got to have eyes on all sides of your heads, it seems, anymore in this championship. Koemans, I'm currently seeing scored in 5th, although I believe he just had a pit stop, so we'll get that updated soon. He actually just had a pit stop, so did Giannis. Koemans is in 11th, I'm getting word, and Koemans was a 17:41 pit stop, Giannis with a 17:71, so about 3/10 quicker for Koemans, which will help him get away from Giannis and hopefully be able to run some clean laps, maybe run some guys down. Maillard is still out. Szabo is still out. Those guys are still in 1st and 2nd running up front. We'll be able to see how things are going to play out. See if Maillard is able to hone his pit strategy with only his 3rd race in this series, because that's something we haven't talked too extensively about recently, Bill, is that pit strategy plays heavily in this series. You really have to be on your game and be a bit flexible, I'd say.
Yeah, Szabo has kicked himself for the last 2 races of blowing the pits. And we're not sure how good Maillard is on doing this, so it'll be very interesting. I know Koemans is great at it.
Yes, as he's proven time and time again. Timo Tuliainen is into the pits. He was scored 3rd last time by, but he's jumped some positions with other people pitting. We'll have to see where he comes out. Guillermo Rato has worked his way up through some of the pits, but he has yet to stop in as well. He was scored as 4th this last time by. Trevor Mack is also in the pits, getting his done, and he was around the same point as Amjad Yaman. So let's keep an eye on Mack and Yaman to see what kind of positions maybe Mack can get out of this, as Yaman is coming around Woodcote at the moment, going to cross the start-finish line very soon. Where in the world is Mack at the moment? Mack is exiting the pits, it looks like. So actually, it looks like Mack might be able to jump him. Yaman is coming around Cop. Does Mack have enough speed to get his momentum going? It looks like it's going to be very close between these guys as they head towards Maggots, Richard.
Yeah, and I have to say that these pit stops kind of play havoc with all our calculations at this point in time. We saw Koemans pitting earlier, and he did get a much faster pit stop by quite a few tenths over Jay Yanis, so he's got a nice lead over Jay Yanis at this stage. The guys that are in front of them, Kevin Ford, Mihai Mesasan, etc., these guys have not pitted yet. Of the faster guys, we have Tuliainen, who I believe has not pitted either, and Guillermo Rato, as well as Szabo and Maillard. So a bunch of these guys still have to pit, and I'll be keeping an eye on particularly the top 2, Evan Maillard and Tamás Szabo, to see when they pit, because it's going to be crucial for them and for this race that they make a good pit stop, because with Jan Koemans and Jay Yanis having made theirs already, those were the top 4. If they make one mistake, Koemans and Yanis will be in front of them. So we shall see what happens, Joe.
I just want to make quick mention of Kevin Ford, who's currently in 4th, and he is a guy that's usually not that far up there. Now, granted, it's because he hasn't made his stop yet, but even that is difficult to do, as we see Koemans close way up on him under braking. But Ford's been running a fairly decent race, and I suspect after the pit stops, he might have a pretty good finish going here, knocking on wood. Don't want to curse the poor guy. Koemans is probably going to make clean work of him this next corner here, it looks like, Richard.
Yeah, I've spoken to Kevin Ford about the series. Kevin is a good mate, a good friend, I guess you might say. And he is struggling with the fixed setup. That is his problem. He says it changes the car so much for him, he just can't get used to it. Whereas these other guys like Koemans, they seem to thrive on this fixed setup. So some drivers like it, some drivers don't.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
would've
There's
Go ahead.
Amjad Yaman just had it off and he clipped the wall coming through Cops. So he went way too wide, as you were mentioning, Bill, on just taking a little bit too much and getting greedy. And where
the leaders in the pits.
So everything's starting to go off. We'll have to keep an eye on, see if Richard Eklund can start to close on him. Meanwhile, back up to Maillard, who is in the pits. Thomas Szabo elects to stay out. Guilherme Rato elects to stay out. Where's Koumans? Koumans is actually coming around Luffield at the moment, and Maillard just stopped into his pits a moment ago. So Koumans might have made up the time. Let's keep an eye on this, see exactly how it's going. Maillard is still stationary. Koumans is coming by at the moment.
Moving now. He's moving now. Maillard's moving now, coming out of the pits. Where is Koumans? Let's see. Koumans coming around Cops now.
He's about level with him. In fact, he's got the momentum, and Koumans effectively is going to move himself into the lead with this as he goes on by, goes on by Maillard. So Koumans,
now
once
here's
again...
a thing sorry, Joe, here's a thing to think about. Maillard didn't look like he took any tires. I was watching him there, and I think that's going to be crucial because with the new tire model, the tires have to be heated up before they work effectively. And if Maillard had taken tires, Koumans on his tires, which were nice and warm already, would have had no problem in getting away from Maillard. But Maillard did not take tires, so he's going to be back up to speed very, very soon, as he's showing already. So now this is extremely interesting. We have Maillard and Koumans,
And
still
Szabo's
in my
in the
opinion
pits.
the two fastest guys around, and we'll see what happens as we go forward.
As Bill mentioned, Thomas Szabo's in the pits, Guilherme Rato's in the pits. They're getting passed
He's
by
coming
right
out.
now.
Szabo's just coming out as we speak. Janice just going past there. So Szabo, I'm not sure where Jan Koumans is. Oh, they're long gone. So Szabo's lost out pretty big time there, Joe.
Yeah, it looks like he still doesn't quite have his pit strategy down. He must have taken a bit too long on something there. And I think it's interesting that you mentioned the tires, because I didn't catch exactly if Koeman took any. I don't know if one of our spotters or if Bill had noticed that. So I'll have to try and figure out if he elected not to or what. But I have to say, this is probably going to be a battle of the titans between these two. Maillard has lost just a little bit of ground, but it seems that they are pretty evenly paced.
Yes, indeed. And as I was saying earlier, these two, let's face it, I think that they are probably the two fastest guys on this track, given that they don't make mistakes. So I'm not saying that they're the best drivers, because driving is a lot of, not just a lot about speed, but about a whole bunch of things, not only speed. So they are the fastest guys. We shall see if anyone can play ball with them today, because it looks like they've got a clean break on Jay Yanis in third place at this point. And you know, one guy we haven't mentioned, Joe, is Sergio Moura. Now, he is, to me, a bit like MJ Yaman in that he quietly goes about his business and ends up more than likely, and in a lot of races, up near the top. So having a look at Sergio right now, he is in fourth place and closing very, very quickly on Jay Yanis at this point, Joe.
He does have Timo Tuliainen, who's recovered from his earlier run-in with Eklund, so Tuliainen is trying to get into the mix as well, so that's for fourth and fifth. Actually, let's just give you a real quick top five now that the pit stops for all the leaders have actually run through. Koumans is leading. Evan Maillard is in second. Jared Janis, as you mentioned, is in third and being tracked down by Sergio Moura in fourth, with Timo Tuliainen behind him in fifth. So it's not quite over yet. We are on lap 27, so we've got 13 laps to go yet, and there's still a lot of racing to do, guys.
Absolutely, and guess what? Thomas Szabo is closing at great speed on Tuliainen and Moura as we watch them go through that very, very tough kink. Let me tell you, I've tried that, and it's very hard. So these are your top six now. And then you've got Mac and João Freitas way, way back there, Joe. Not a feature in this race at all.
Yeah, in fact, he's third in the championship, so it's very unusual. He's usually one of the very fast guys, and like I said earlier on, I suspect he just doesn't fancy this track because he is really not as competitive as we're used to seeing him. In fact, he's got Sam McAleer right behind him at the moment, and Sam is looking pretty hungry. Meanwhile, they've also got Guilherme Ratu not too far behind, and that is 8th, 9th, and 10th at the moment. So those guys all starting to battle it out, but not terribly close. So let's find ourselves a closer battle, perhaps maybe farther down in the pack, and see if there's anything interesting going on down there, Bill.
Yeah, Eklund, I'm just checking the points here to see where we are in the point stands. Eklund is in 12th, Yamans is in 14th, and sitting in the pits right now. I think that could be trouble. And before the incident, I think Timo had the legs for the leaders, but I think the dent in the back has slowed him down.
So we actually missed that. Amjad Yaman's damage was enough that he's had to go in and get repairs. I guess he's just going to try and salvage a finish since he's in and waiting for that instead of actually completely out of the car. But oof, this is really going to hurt Amjad, Bill.
Yeah, he was really sitting well, doing just what he needed. If I think back here, Guillermo Rato's doing well. I love the race from Giannis. That's an impressive third place running right now. He looks solid in that.
Yeah, I was really impressed with him being able to work his way up through there, and he seems to have avoided a fair bit of the trouble, but he also seems to have done it with his strategy. Now, we're getting word that Maillard is starting to lose out to Koemans. He's about a second and a half. He was actually 2 seconds back the last time by the line, it looks like. So maybe I was wrong. Maillard doesn't seem to quite have the pace here, Richard.
No, it's dropping back at the moment, or it's probably the other way around, Joe, that Koemans has put his pedal to the metal, or whatever they say. He's really pulling out all stops to win, and this is very, very interesting. If you look at the top 5 of the championship, Richard Eklund is winning. He's way down in this race, right? Amjad Yaman is damaged and down in this race. Jalfreda's not doing his best in this race. Jan Koemans leading, and he's 4th in the championship. And in 2nd place, we've got a spoiler in Evan Maillard, who really doesn't have any championship standing at this point. So guess what's going to happen? Jan Koemans may well shoot right up to the lead again in this championship, Joe.
I'd have to figure out what the average finish is going to do to him, because that's one of the features of this series is instead of drop weeks, they calculate average finish and try to work that into there with a certain percentage. And he's had so many bad finishes, which is why he's not in the lead with, gosh, he's got, what, 7 wins this season or something? So it's all his bad finishes that have just been hampering him all the way. And he's still going to have to fight. I don't think he's going to be completely up to the front, but he's definitely going to help himself. We're getting word that we've got a bit of battle between Kevin C. Ford and Stefan Mauriane. It looks like they're fairly close together. Mauriane is currently trying to hunt down Ford, and that is for 17th and 16th, Bill.
Yeah, and up in 3rd, if we can take a look up there, we have Giannis is in 3rd, but he's being closed in by Mora, and right behind them is Timo. That's going to be a good battle, because I think Timo might have the legs for both of them.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. And well, they've also got Szabo trying to run them down as well, and he's been slowly closing in. He could put a whole new wrench into the works and possibly make it even more complicated. So the podium is still up for grabs. And we're getting word that Maillard... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, this battle between Mauriane and, who was it? Kevin Ford seems to be hot and cold. Mauriane closing up quite significantly in the corners. And then Kevin Ford getting better exits out of the corner. So this is a battle that is worth watching as we come to the closing stages. Ahead of them is somebody that we haven't seen a lot of in this championship, is Tom Rathie. He's a useful driver as well. And, you know, these guys are in 15th, 16th, and 17th place. But to them, it's the same as if they're racing for 1st, 2nd, or 3rd place. So every battle that we look at has significance for that driver.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but Koemans just made contact with Jake Tucker. I was about to say that he's going to get into this battle that we were watching, and actually that battle's heating up as well as Mauriane and Ford are going side by side up into Maggots, but Ford comes out ahead. But yeah, Koumans just made contact, had a huge moment as Ford gets squirrely himself and lets Mauriane by. And Koumans is going to have to be really careful after that one run-in that he's got two guys battling now, Bill.
Yeah, see, you never know. I went back and I've been checking the pit stops. I don't see anybody who's taken tires, so I think everyone's on the same stuff.
Yeah, so that's. Sorry, go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say, it looks like the optimum strategy has started to surface as eventually, you know, with the new builds, we see a lot of guys start to kind of figure it out, and they all sort of head in one direction, which is unfortunate because you don't see a lot of variance, but I think there's enough really to keep things mixed up in this series from what it looks like.
Yeah, the idea is with this new tire model, do not take tires. All that's going to do is slow you down. So our leader, Jan Koumans, kind of got into that battle that was raging between Mauriane and Ford. Mauriane's still just ahead of him, but he takes the really wide option and passes Mauriane now. So he's still leading, and in second place we have Evan Maillard, and Maillard has to go through those 4 cars in front of them, namely Tucker and Ford and whoever else it was before them. So it looks to me, Joe, as if Jan Koumans' lead is almost unassailable as we are on lap 33 out of 40.
Well, I haven't heard a fat lady singing yet, and you know, I think it ain't over. So I will say that Evan Maillard ran a 106.9 last time by, and with all that traffic, Koumans did a 107.7. So if Maillard can make good time through these back markers, he could gain just a little bit on Koumans.
Well, that is correct. He's managed to just pass Tucker now, and he will have Ford in his sight. So a couple of cars, let me see, Ford and then Mauriane. These are 2 tough competitors, so they're not going to be that easy to pass. And then we've got Koumans. As Koumans comes up on Benjamin Lanowet, who's also trying the really wide line there. I don't like that line at all. It looks so funny. But these guys are obviously using it to great effect.
I'm
so
sorry,
now
but
Koumans, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Richard. We've got a big battle going on between Mora and Timo. And Timo somehow got past and gets very close on the back of Jared Janis, but manages to avoid him. These guys are extremely close. And now Szabo is right on the back of them as well. Mora has been looking to try and get that spot back, but he wasn't quite able to do it coming through turns 2 and 3. They're coming down towards Brooklands at the moment, and he's not close enough to make anything happen. I'm sorry to interrupt, Richard.
That's okay. This is where the action is. This is where we want to be. So 4 cars right now, led by Janis and then Tuliainen, as there's an accident. Whoa, that was Tom Rathy that was stuck in the middle of the track there. Benjamin Lanowet nearly caused trouble for these 4, but they've managed to get through safely. So Janis, Tuliainen, Mora, and Szabo, a good battle developing here in the closing laps, Joe.
I tip my hat to all of those guys for managing to avoid that spun car. Everyone was hugely heads up, so great to see everyone be able to get out of that clean. We always hate to see accidents as they're now heading by Stefan Mauriane, and it looks like Mora is starting to close up coming to 2. He gets a pretty good exit compared to Timo out of 1, but can't quite do anything. I'm also noticing Timo did the same thing this time around turn 3 Maggots, closing up on Jer mid-corner, but can't do anything out of the corner. It's only in the middle that he really seems to start to gain that ground, Richard.
Yeah, that's right. Some drivers follow the slow in, fast out theory, where others brake later and inevitably find that they don't have the fastest exit out of those corners. But here's a great battle, and you've got Jake Tucker and Kevin Ford in front of these guys, so they still have to negotiate those slower cars at this point in time. Could cause some trouble for them, but great racing from all of these guys. You know, we were talking about Tomas Szabo is bringing up the rear of this 4. He will have to learn that pit stops are just as important as racing, because he was well and truly ahead of these guys, and he lost a lot of time just in his pit stop. I'm not sure what he did. I will go and have a look after this race to see exactly what he did. But he's still in with a chance as we see the slower cars holding, some of them up. Janis getting through.
Whoa!
Oh, Kevin White going very wide again, Joe.
Yeah, there was another moment where everybody got through there, and I don't know how, and it looks like it's shaking things up as Janice is now under threat from Timo, and Mora's trying to get up in it. Are they going to try and go 3 wide? I wouldn't advise it. Nope, they're going to stick 2 wide. Now they're going 3 wide with the lap traffic. They managed to get through there. There was just a little bit of contact with Janice, which scoots him wide, and now Mora is trying to get on the outside of him as Janice holds on, but he's losing positions as Timo moves himself up into third, and Janice is still trying to hold off Mora, who's struggling to get a good exit.
And Tucker in the middle of all of that. Tucker is a useful driver, by the way. He's not slow by any means. And Tamazabo just decided, well, I'm staying out of this lot. It looked too hairy for him. And now he's deciding, okay, it seems to be safe for me to try and attack again. So he is now catching up a little bit. But it's Mora, it's Janice, and Tuliainen who has the better of it at the moment, Joe.
Yeah, and Mora took a little bit of a look coming into 3, but couldn't make anything happen. And I understand you have some information about Rachi, Bill?
Yeah, I just want to give a tip of the hat to my fellow judge. He spun well ahead of 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, and he knows he locked up the brakes, he sat there, and he let everyone go by him until the track was clear, and then he pulled off. That was a good job of driving by Tom.
Oh, we've also got some information coming in that João Freitas was in the pits, and he's in 24th at the moment. We're not exactly sure what happened. We'll have to have someone go and take a look, see what happened to him. But that is also, once again, championship contender. They're just dropping like flies today. Freitas was up into 3rd with only 29 points back, and it's going to hurt him. I mean, Koeman's is about the only one up at the top of the points who's been able to get away with this.
Absolutely, and this is crucial for Koeman's championship hopes, I'm pretty sure. Maillard at this point in time, too far back, Joe. We're on lap 38. It's a 40-lap race. We got to keep an eye on Koeman's for the finish. Timo Tuliainen with this bashed-up car has done a magnificent job to virtually. He is not out of touch with Evan Maillard at this point in time, and Mora is right up there with Koeman at this point, Joe. In fact, this could be a battle in the final laps for that 3rd position.
I was going to say, let's stick with this one until it peters out or until the end, because it's still hotly contested as Janice is still in the mix. He's not given up on that podium yet. Mora has a bit of a bobble coming towards Luffield and loses some ground. Now that puts him in the...
Maillard has lost it. Maillard has lost 2nd place. He's just spun the car, and now it's Tuliainen into 2nd, Joe.
We're going to check the replay on that, and it looks like Maillard might have actually exited out of the car, which is unusual because you can see he doesn't hit anything. So I'm not sure what exactly happened. I'd hate to see someone exit out after not, damaging the car or anything.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate. But yes, I'm not seeing him in the car at this point in time, and he's going down the order. So Tuliainen and Mora at this point, Joe, this is where the action is as Tuliainen goes really wide. This is Mora's chance. He goes to the outside at this point in time. Tuliainen back at him, side by side. They're coming to that left-hander at the bottom of the straightaway who has the intestinal fortitude as Tuliainen goes really zipping into the corner well ahead of Mora and manages to hold on to it, Joe, and takes that position, and Janus forcing his or pushing his credentials as well, Joe.
Little chrome horn there from Janus.
I was going to say, yeah. And this, what was going to be the final podium spot, is now going to be 2nd and 3rd, and possibly something for Janus still. We got a white flag, so Koeman is taking us around. We're going to go to him once we get to the finish, but I want to stay with this battle between Tuliainen and Mora, fighting very hard for 2nd place, because it is not over whatsoever, Richard.
Absolutely not. This is the last lap, you say, so Tuliainen, he's in front. He's got to keep these other 2 out. They are going to come. We saw Janus just lose a little bit of time there. Mora did get a really good exit out of that corner. So did Tuliainen, though, and they're going down for the last time. That straightaway that we mentioned, going into that left-hander. What is going to happen here? Is Mora going to make it happen? No, I do not believe so, Joe. We best have a look and see what Koeman is doing, because he will have almost finished by now.
Yes, Koemans is actually heading through the final corner, coming out of Woodcote towards the start-finish line. Koemans is going to take yet another win, recovering from a big mistake and managing to run away with it yet again, taking home another one. Timo Tuliainen is still leading and takes second place. Sergio Mora comes home, actually possibly third or fourth. Yes, Sergio Mora takes home third. Jared Janis comes in fourth. And Thomas Szabo manages to grab fifth, Richard.
Yeah, it's funny how these guys react after a race. I love the way Jan Koemans goes into his celebration mode by doing those smoking burnouts. Sergio Mura just changes down a few gears and blows the engine. Timo Tuliainen also does what Sergio does. But anyway, the rest of them are still finishing, so we'll let them all finish, and then we'll call the final placings for you, Joe.
Absolutely, and wow, what an excellent race! I have to admit, and this is no slam on Sergio. I give him credit for still coming home with third. His attempted pass coming into Brooklands on Timo around the outside seemed a bit timid. We've seen that move that you could hold it around the outside because you'll be on the inside for Luffield. I thought for sure he would just try and hold on to that spot. And he backed out of it, and I think that cost him the second place, Bill.
Yeah, but when you think about it, Sergio came in, started the season race 4. He's still in the hunt to maybe finish third in the standings. Who knows? Maybe more. So I think he's playing the points.
That'd be awesome to see yet another championship contender into this game. It seems like whenever we think we know who the top guys are going to be, everyone just throws another kink into it. It looks like we've got pretty much everybody across the finish line. So we are going to go through the top 10, and then we're going to head to break, and we will get some interviews. Jan Koemans came home in first. Timo Tuliainen took home second. Sergio Mora completed the podium. Jared Janis came fourth, and Thomas Szabo came fifth. What are the next five, Richard?
The next five. So we have Thomas Hallinen, a good race from him. In 6th, Trevor Mack in 7th. Guillermo Rato, perhaps a little disappointing by his standards, in 8th. Sam McAleer in 9th. Richard Eklund, who I'm sure would have liked to have been further up, in 10th place, Joe.
Hopefully not doing too much damage. I guess it was damage limitation day for Richard. But we're going to go to break. We're going to get some interviews on the other side. So enjoy the music, and we'll see you in a moment. Welcome back after we just witnessed an exciting round 11 at Silverstone National with Jan Koemans taking home yet another win in the Blondies MX5 World Tour, helping bolster his championship hopes. We've got Jan with us right now. It looked like you had a bit of trouble with that bobble early on, but you made good with it by just running some quick laps, it looks like, Jan.
Hi, Joe. Yeah, it was a really tough race. I mean, I have to watch it again myself to see what went on exactly. It was really difficult to follow people around, and because of the accordion effect in the braking zones, I was always worried about rear-ending somebody. So yeah, then I just decided to come into the pits, try to take as little fuel as I could, which still ended up one lap too much. Then I just pushed, and I came out just in the lead.
It certainly worked out well with your battle between you and Meyerd. This track looks deceptively simple on the surface, but I found when driving it, it had some really tricky corners. What are your feelings on on this layout?
Yeah, I didn't like it too much, to be honest. In practice, it just seems like a straight line corner, straight line. I mean, Silverstone has some great corners, and it seems like track didn't really do it for me with the corners that were included. That said, it was pretty difficult to get it right, especially turn one. You could easily go too wide or onto the grass there, and then turn two, turn three was very, very tough understeer, so you had to kind of balance it with not running too wide and not taking too much of the inside either.
Well, we always talk to you about the championship situation because it's been such a roller coaster for you. After this one, how are you fancying your chances? Do you think you got the momentum going again?
Well, I hope so, but I mean, you never know. I'll have to miss one of the remaining races anyway because I'll be out of the country for work. So I'm not sure. I'm just trying to win as many as I can.
All right. Well, thanks for talking to us, and you'll have to shout at some of the other guys on the podium to come and talk to us. We're eagerly looking to talk to them.
Will do, Joe. Talk to you later.
Thanks. Well, we also have Sam McAleer waiting around to talk to. He had a fairly decent day with a 9th place finish. Richard, would you like to talk to Sam?
Sure. Hey, Sam. Sam's not in here with us just yet. Ah, there you are. Hi, Sam. Good finish tonight. Back in the top 10 at least. You haven't been having the greatest time recently.
Yeah, I didn't get a good qualifying. I was really struggling with the track. I just couldn't seem to get any grip, and there was so many different lines that you can take throughout some of the corners. It's just hard to work out which is the fastest.
Yeah. So what's happened? You know, in the early part of the season, you were really up there. You know, in the top 5, and in this sort of latter half of the season, or the second third of the season, you kind of drop back. Is there some reason for that?
I've just really not been putting enough practice in. I've used to practice a couple of days before race day, and then when I used to go into the actual race, I was on like same times with everyone else. But lately, I've just been jumping in the session and just trying to keep up with everyone, and it's probably not helping me out too well, as you can see.
Okay. Anyway, a 9th place finish in this sort of company is a good finish. You finished in front of Richard Eklund, pardon me, which is you know, very hard to do. And some of the other guys that you know, Freitas and people like Yaman Mayard, who's just joined, these guys are all well and truly behind you. So a good finish, Sam. We wish you the best of luck for the remaining part of the season, and hopefully things get better for you.
Hopefully, yeah. And I'd like to say happy birthday to Giancarlo as well. So happy birthday.
Thank you for that. I'm sure he will appreciate that. All right, thanks for talking to us, Sam. Back to you, Joe.
Yeah, also, I'm glad you reminded me because we wanted to wish a happy birthday to Ayrton Ellis, who also is celebrating his birthday this weekend. So a lot of birthdays on our team. We've got one more person to talk to. We've got the championship leader, Richard Eklund, who might not be after this race, waiting around. And we've got Richard in here now. Richard, it seems like it was a bit of a damage limitation day for you today, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, on lap 13, Timo tagged me in the rear, and I didn't have damage from that, I don't think. But then he tried letting me pass again since he tagged me and almost spun me. But I didn't realize he was doing that. I moved left to pass him, and then he moved left to try to give way, and then I crashed into the back of him. I'm sure that looked pretty intentional, but it was not intentional at all. I apologized to him right away. But then after that, I made the mistake of taking all 30 seconds of optional repairs. I should have only taken like 10 seconds or so, because Timo finished second, and he had at least as much damage as I did, if not more, so it was just a mistake in the pits that cost me today. But the good news is that Amjad and Yao both finished well behind me. Bad news is that Jan won the race, so championship is still close.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like it's going to be back to you and your old foe, possibly up at the top once again. Do you think you might have the pace at some of the remaining tracks to try and keep up with him, or are you going to bank on him possibly running into more problems?
I haven't. I was planning on not running Zolder because I really dislike that track, but after this result, it'll bring my average points down a little bit, so I'm not sure if I can afford to do that anymore. But all the tracks after that I like a lot, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see if I can get more comfortable with Zolder. I think my pace is okay there, I just don't like the track.
Well, for the broadcast's sake, we hope that you guys bring it down to the last race. But, I mean, 10th place is still decent, but hopefully you'll have a better finish next week. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks.
Well, we're going to wrap up and get some thoughts from some of the guys up here. Richard, this was, I think, one of my favorite ones. It was a pretty exciting race, I have to say.
Yep, it certainly was. I, for one, was pretty glad to see Jan Koolmans winning again, because that is going to make for an exciting finish to this championship. I was disappointed to see Jafredes and MJ Hammond so far down, because that's going to hurt their chances for sure in the championship. Some of the more exciting things to watch out for in the coming races is Tomas Szabo, who's certainly coming of age, so to speak, in this series, and taking it to the top guys. Jay Yanis is still up there. Sergio Moura, another quiet finish for him, but a good finish. He's definitely in it. So great racing, and I'm looking forward to the upcoming races, Joe.
Myself as well. Bill, what are your thoughts on how this one wound up?
That was a pretty exciting race. Koolmans knows what he's doing in the pits, and I think the guy that we kind of looked over there was Guilherme Rato. He had a nice ace place finish. That's going to keep him in the hunt.
Definitely. I think what I enjoyed most about this race is there was some real unpredictability, and we saw a lot of championship guys falter, so this brought out the men from the boys, so to speak. Before we go, we want to thank a few people, especially the sponsor of the Blondies MX5 World Tour. If you are ever in the Long Beach area, go check out Blondies Bar in California, and tell them that we sent you. So enjoy beer on us, possibly. Also, thank you to Bill, the organizer of this league. He puts a lot of time into this. Thanks to the software and hardware that puts a lot well, not a lot of effort, I'm sorry. The software and hardware that makes this possible. Now I've collected myself. XSplit, iRacing.com, Twitch TV, Audio Technica, and AverMedia are some of the software that we use. Thanks to the team here at GSRC, Richard, Bill, Giancarlo, obviously put a lot in. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find highlights and race archives at our website, www.globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our Twitter at GSR Channel or Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel. We'd like to thank Eric Ekholm. You can find his music not only here on GSRC, but in TV commercials, movie trailers, iTunes, and Spotify. If you like our music, you can tell him where you heard it at ericekholm.com. Our next race is November 23rd, and that is at Zolder, the alternate version. That'll kick off at 1 p.m. Eastern. That'll be our next broadcast as well. So we look forward to seeing you. Keep following this championship because it is turning into a classic. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.